Hey man, everyone's here. Time for the show.
Let's give it to him.
So after Fast and the Furious stole its plot from Point Break, somebody stupidly decided that Brian O'Connor needed another story. And to be honest...
that is crap.
Well anyway, here's Too Fast, Too Furious.
Too fast, too furious. Oh, I'm too fast for y'all. When do we start?
Right now.
So this guy in Miami with hair so big his comb got lost in it is running a race.
He's got his finger in absolutely everything.
After way too much time, he notices that they only have 3 racers and is like, we can't run with 3 people because those are the rules of the illegal street races I run. And since these get broken up all the time, I'm going to call my buddy who lives across town to come join, instead of asking somebody who's already here if they want to jump in.
Why don't I just find y'all a 4th and we settle this on the streets, huh?
So he calls Brian, who just got out of the shower, and tells him that he has 4 minutes to get there. And you know his car must be really fast because he gets dressed, which probably took 3 of those minutes, and gets there just in time. If you don't count the 6 minutes it took him to get through the crowd. And I suppose we can let it slide that he was the only one who didn't accessorize his outfit with his car, because he was in a hurry.
He was dressed in yellow like a big banana.
And the racers are not happy that Tej called Brian, because he takes racing super seriously after hanging out with Dom for a few weeks. He even lives in a boathouse outside of Tej's garage, which makes me wonder why they're surprised he's the one they called.
Thanks for the invite.
And even more important, how did he not know about this race, considering his landlord's the one who was running it? Well, Brian wants to up the stakes on the race.
They got deep pockets?
Real deep.
But we know this guy's broke,
I know this.
and this chick is scared of him, and this guy just looks stupid for wearing a beanie in Florida.
Man, it's so hot and humid out here, I can't even wear no drawers.
They raise the buy-in without consulting everyone, and Tej tells them that they can leave if they don't agree,
Either that or you can go home, bruh.
even though he won't run the race without 4 cars.
You're breaking your own rules.
So they take off, and it's super important for them to look at each other instead of the road when they're going this fast. Plus, they're driving through downtown, and they don't pass a single car on the route. Then Tej tells some guy to raise the bridge, and Brian leapfrogs this guy's car to win the race. So earlier, Tej was hitting on Suki, but she wanted nothing to do with him. But now that her car's messed up and she knows he owns a garage, she's all over it. Well, Brian saw this girl before the race, and he tries to talk to her,
She's gorgeous.
She's all right.
but has these weird body wobbles before she basically says, I know the cops are coming. So the cops show up, and everyone scatters like cockroaches. Brian evades one cop, but this other one has a shotgun that has this electro claw that shuts off the car. So every cop pulls their gun on the guy who is just driving too fast, and they arrest him. He denies who he is, even though they took his fingerprints when they booked him, and he used to be a cop.
Stupid ass.
But his old buddy Bilkins from the FBI walks in, so we don't have to get into that. Turns out, US Customs wants him to go undercover as a street racer with one of their agents, but he makes fun of the agent for not knowing a trick question about engines.
But when they put him undercover in LA, he didn't know anything about cars.
Right. And Toretto taught him how to be a better driver, and he learned about cars because he wanted to, so he's making fun of this dude to point out that he would get spotted as an agent right away. And Brian wants to bring someone in that he knows will fit the part. So he goes about it in the douchiest way possible.
You embarrass me!
He then says that he wants this guy Roman to be the other driver, because I guess he didn't know anyone in Florida that could do it, so they have to go to California to get him. Apparently they have a bad history together,
Still fight like shit.
and Brian is trying to clear his record to make up for it. It also seems like they're related, but I don't think they can decide whether they're brothers or cousins.
Come on, cuz.
Watch this, bro. I said forget about it, cuz. Alright, let's do this, bro. Pockets ain't empty, cuz. Not anymore, bro.
How could they not know how they're related?
Maybe they're both. I mean, after all, Barstow is the Alabama of California. But anyway, the chick from the street race is the agent they have undercover, living with this guy Verone.
You guys a dick, man.
This guy wants to hire some drivers, so she rides with Brian to the audition, because that wouldn't look suspicious at all. They have to get something out of a car in a police impound, but apparently Agent Markham forgot about the operation,
They're running. What a surprise.
even though he was standing right next to Fuentes when she gave the details. So now Agent Markham is trying to catch them, and could possibly ruin his own investigation. Well, that is if Brian and Roman don't screw it up first, because they decide to fart around on the way there. And I guess Monica paid these other guys a lot, because they don't even flinch when they see 2 of the other drivers get killed on the way.
You're a good driver, man.
But it turns out, you can just drive into a police impound lot with little resistance.
The boatyard's mine. Oh, by the way, you two owe me a gate.
And once again, we catch them not looking forward,
You might want to keep your eyes on the road, Playboy.
which could really be a bad thing because they almost missed the bright red car that's directly in front of them on a straightaway.
What, you think we're gonna crash?
They get the package, But Markham shows up, so Roman has to shoot at him to make their escape look legit.
You almost blew our cover, old man.
They get back to the house, and I suppose everyone else just went home, and they get hired to drive something to the Keys in a few days. So they let Bilkins and Markham know.
Nice shirt, Bilkins.
It's my day off.
They get invited to a nightclub that night, but suspect something's wrong with their cars, so they go back to Tej's, where he toned down his hair, but put on a stupid-looking bucket hat.
You know, looking real Miami.
They also find out that they're not only being tracked by the customs agents, but Verone's men too. But they get away from him by setting their car on fire, and I'm sure that's really going to make Verone trust them more. And then they immediately go to the law enforcement agents to find out what's going on. Markham pulls a gun on them, and says he didn't know that they were going to be tested, even though he'd let them leave with Fuentes to go to the audition. Well, Brian and Roman don't like being tracked, so they want to race the guys with muscle cars for pink slips. But I don't know why they would have called them, or why they would have agreed since they made fun of their cars earlier.
Hey, where'd you get them cars at the bottom of a cereal box?
Hater.
I guess they exchanged numbers at Verone's house. And I'm guessing they also didn't consider what Markham would do if they lost the cars in this race.
I will find enough charges on both of you to make you disappear.
They again find another empty road in Miami and start the race. The orange car is whooping Roman, but when he almost catches him, he knocks a sign in front of him. The blue car has a huge lead on Brian, so he plays chicken with him. Move, bitch! And the guy's car stalls just long enough for him to get around the barrel and catch up for a photo finish.
So both of the teams cheated?
Shut up. It's not like they're upstanding citizens.
Guns, murderers, and crooked cops. I was made for this, bruh.
Plus, they needed to because they needed cars that weren't being tracked. So they go to the club to meet Verone, who sees Brian and Monica flirting, and doesn't like this very much.
Verone's tapping her.
Tapping her how?
Bend over, boy.
He says he doesn't like cops either, so they go into a room and get a cop to do illegal stuff by having a rat try to eat through his stomach.
You got something to eat up in there? We hungry.
But this guy isn't very bright. He told him that he wouldn't help him, and then showed up to the nightclub he owns.
Hey, no, I caught you walking up in the club. You got the hamburger meat all hanging out.
And to make him look like a bigger turd, he's hitting on a girl who's half his age when he has a wife and 2 kids at home, who will also become rat food if he doesn't come through now.
Like I said, we hungry.
They only have a day to come up with a plan, so they go back to Tej's. In the morning, Monica sneaks onto Brian's houseboat.
What the hell are you doing here? I'm gonna choke you.
To warn him that the goons are going to kill him after the run, but they suspected that she went to see him because she was missing for a few minutes and went to Brian's too.
Now put your blouse back on.
She manages to climb on the roof while they distract them, but Verone is also there and should have seen her on top of the houseboat, or at least climbing down. Anyway, Verone tells them that these guys are going to be riding with them tomorrow, so play nice. They tell Markham where the drop is, and that they're going to be murdered.
It's good news.
But he thinks GPS will save them, even though there's literally only one road that goes to the Keys. He also gives them toy walkie-talkies. They call Tej to organize some people to work on their muscle cars, and to have a surprise at this warehouse.
It's gonna be an all time of the night.
When they go pick up the money, the rat cop tells them to arrest them, so instead of having a 15-minute window with no cops, they're all over them before the cash is in the trunk.
Oh shit, we got cops!
On the highway, they shoot that electroclaw thingy at Brian's car, but it malfunctions.
Can't do it.
He manages to get it off right as it activates, and he throws it at a cop car, causing an 11-car pileup, and they get away.
You lost them. Shit!
They drive to the warehouse, where they go in the building, and then have some rednecks attack the cop cars. And then all their friends flood the streets with race cars. And Bilkins is like, those crazy bastards, I hope they don't get murdered. But the cops are following their cars, and when they get cornered, Tej and Suki get out, and Bilkins is like, I don't remember Brian being a woman. But they pulled a sneaky, and switched to the muscle cars. They're in the clear of the cops, but they still need to ditch the goons. Roman gets rid of his, but Brian's guy tells him to go to a different location. Brian radios Roman the new drop-off, and this guy doesn't suspect anything, or wonder why the guy in his car hasn't told him this. Brian gets to the drop, and Verone meets him in his finest silk pajamas, and a bunch of guns. He knows that the airstrip was raided, but only told Monica, so he knows she's a customs agent.
You're always getting in trouble over a female, Brian.
They take Brian somewhere else to shoot him because they wanted something more scenic, I guess. And I guess another 50 feet up the road is just fine. He tries to use his ejectocito, but it doesn't work. But Roman comes to save him.
Yeah! That's some driving for your ass, baby! Ain't that some driving for your ass?
They also want to save Monica, so they stupidly decide to ramp the car onto the boat because why not?
Who needs a car and a boat?
Verone then goes to shoot them, but missed his window of them being in pain and gets shot himself.
You okay?
Their records get clear, and we see that Roman stole some money and shows Brian with the cops still close by.
I mean, I couldn't let it go to waste.
So despite the fact that Brian and Monica almost got killed because they couldn't stop flirting with each other, now that they can date, they just walk away, never to see each other again.
Quit playing like you're gonna pass this up.
You need to go to hell.
And you need to like and subscribe.
Guys, finish?
That's it. Now, you can go.
I'm gonna go take a piss.
You go do that.